And today's question comes from Gia, and Gia writes, Dear Lori, I'm having some trouble with my 5-year-old. No matter what I say or do, she reacts as if it's the end of the world. I am talking monster meltdown, screaming at whoever is stopping her from getting her way. Her brother seems to be her main target of frustration these days, and she doesn't do this at school, but she seems to let it all out at home. I have used punishment in the past and tried rewarding her with special dates where we go out and buy a treat when she's able to hold in her temper, but nothing seems to work anymore. What can I do if I don't give consequences? I'm worried that she is never going to change and that if I ignore her behavior, she will just continue to walk all over me. Okay, Gia, I don't want anybody to walk all over you. So let's take a look at what's going on here and see if we can kind of get to the bottom of it. I think one of the reasons that we all too often find ourselves stuck between punitive and permissive is because our focus is left brain. It stays on fixing, solving, managing, and reasoning, and then consequences seem to be the next logical step in that process. But when we approach conflict wanting to right a wrong, our consequences usually end up having negative ramifications and sending messages of conditional love rather than evoking that reflective quality that I think that we're really looking for. So the first thing I want you to do is investigate, how are you responding to your daughter most often? Are you going in with the intention to change her behavior, or are you entering the situation with curiosity and a desire to help her understand her experience so that she can be more naturally inclined to change her own thoughts and feelings and behaviors? Now, I know it seems simple and easy. Our thinking brain says, well, of course I want to help her. I want to understand her. But does your thinking translate into your actions? Do you run in with lots of empathy, but also with that intention of getting her to stop reacting in certain ways, or hoping that she will just get over it quickly? Because this can lead your empathy to take on an element of begging or pleading. And if you tend to try and convince your child to calm down, it sends your child's brain the message that things are confusing or unsafe. It's like saying to your child, please stop your feelings because I can't handle it. And then your child thinks, oh man, if you can't handle it, what am I going to do? Right? So, or maybe you run in with lots of positive and reasonable alternatives for helping her offload the stress or change her situation, only to be rejected and end up feeling annoyed at her lack of receptiveness to your very, very good idea. So what I want you to do is shift the focus of your intention and consider, when my daughter reacts in this way, how do I respond? Do I respond by activating her alarm center, or do I respond by helping her reset her nervous system? You've already discovered that consequences and rewarding behavior eventually fall short of long-term change, right? And that punishments need to be made more severe and rewards need to be made more enticing if either one is going to continue to have that impact on behavior. So let's be honest with ourselves about punitive measures. What do they really get you? Some short-term compliance, maybe. They also pretty much guarantee that you will run around issuing orders for the next several years, because they weaken our relationships and they add that burden of fear and blame and shame and judgment and guilt and all of those things that we don't want. And kids don't learn when they feel afraid or ashamed or blamed or judged, because those emotions are distressing, and when we are distressed, our behaviors are directed by the lower brain centers. So our goal is to have our children's brains create connections to the executive functions, those executive center. This is where we can be directed to make good choices and learn to self-regulate our own behaviors. But to do that, you have to create a healthy, resilient foundation of emotional stability. So the skills and the abilities of the higher brain, they rely on a well-laid emotional blueprint. If we can't handle our feelings, our brains stay stuck. They never strengthen those important connections that are necessary for things like self-regulation, reasoning, predicting, planning. So let's reframe behavior with this understanding that it is a message about what our kids are perceiving and feeling. So when your daughter screams, the message is, I'm having a difficult time with these feelings of disappointment, and I'm feeling overwhelmed, and I'm unable to shift out of this negativity right now. I need help. That's the message. So in the heat of the moment, you have to present yourself as a non-judgmental place of safety and support, not a fixer, not an advisor or a counselor, but just someone who listens and then reflects back what she hears. This is going to allow your child to feel heard, and when she feels heard, she can more easily shift into a state of regulation and positive behaviors. But if your child only thinks that you're going to ignore her, or her emotions don't mean anything, then she intuits the message of you're not listening and you don't care. And then you see more negative behaviors. And as the message cries out louder, I want you to validate what I feel. Or if your child feels threatened by punishments or harsh handling, she may intuit the message that her thoughts and emotions aren't valued. And then again, you'll see more behaviors that attack or resist or resent you. Now, in order to stay emotionally present, you want to get out of your thinking head. You want to stop rationalizing your limits or judging or over-analyzing your child's intentions. You can't contain your child's upset with logic. It can only be soothed when you attune to her emotional experience. Now, I admit this can be difficult. This is really, really, really hard sometimes, and this isn't about an easy fix. But when we can't handle an emotionally charged situation, when we feel out of resources or unheard, we can really quickly become impatient with our kids. So if you want your child to build her regulatory abilities, you want to aim to model that self-regulation more often than you fall back on those habits of control where you just run around trying to dictate the situation. Now, my last tip for you is to understand that consequences are a natural extension of your actions, and their impact is enhanced by quality feedback. So tell your kids how you feel. Don't tell them what you think, but kids learn learn about their actions that are unacceptable by our responses to them. So if you ignore your child's behavior, she's going to ignore your ideas and your requests. Or if you criticize her behavior, she will learn to hide her actions. But if you respond with like, ah, running in, then she's going to respond with, ah. But if you respond with empathy, if you respond with, I hear your words, I hear your anger. It's our rule that we speak in our house with kindness. So this isn't working for me right now. Are you able to wait, or would you like some help calming down? And then don't argue with your child. Just wait for your window of opportunity. Then the consequence now that is internalized is mom isn't able to help me or listen when I yell. There's no judgment, there's no blame, there's just quality feedback and that reassurance that the person that she needs most is going to remain loving and close. So when you respond to your kids with empathy, not acceptance of their actions, but support in their moment of overwhelm, then they learn to reflect on their behaviors and consider how their behaviors have impacted others. With your attention focused on helping them reconcile those strong reactions and emotions, you become a reliable source of guidance. And as a result, you build long-term influence with an emotionally intelligent child. So Gia, that is my teachable moment for you. I hope that you found it helpful, and if you want more tips like this, please check out my past episodes and make sure that you are subscribed to my weekly updates. Now, I want to hear from you guys before we go. I want to know, what is the hardest thing about being conscious, about remaining conscious and empathetic as a parent? How do you resist the temptation to resort to permissive or punitive discipline? Come on over to teachthroughlove.com and leave me a comment and join in the discussion and let me know. And if you found this teachable moment helpful, please like it and share it with a friend. Until next time, everyone, thank you for watching, and remember, it is about consciousness, not perfection.